Okay. Everybody had a good lunch? Yes? Okay. So shall we start out with Dr. Atul Kumar? You have a presentation waiting for us, right? The key, yep, right there. I think you can just speak, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so before I start, maybe I would like to thank for the invitation to this event, and specifically to Mrs. Kim of National Innovation Agency and Raj Mishra of IIT Alumni Association of Thailand. So I also graduated from IIT in Kanpur, and IIT stands for Indian Institute of Technology, which are considered the top technical institutes in India and also have repute around the world. In my current job at IBM, other than doing research, because people may be thinking what is a person from a company that is more than 100-year-old is doing here talking about startups.
So your company is more than 100 years old.
Yeah, so IBM is, IBM celebrated its centenary in 2011.
Yes.
Yeah, so as part of my job, I also look around for startups. So IBM has a strategy to invest in startups and also
Did you find anybody here yet?
Maybe I will start looking now.
Maybe,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so IBM invests in startups and also acquire some of the startups that it thinks that it is better to acquire this company for this technology instead of now starting on your own. Yeah, so that is what I do. Other than that, I also advise 3 startups as of now, and all in Bangalore.
Okay.
And one of them is essentially, they are very different companies. So one is working to identify skills among people. So for example, in a small town, if there are, say, young women, graduate young women who will normally do, say, a receptionist job, which pays them, say, 10,000 rupee a month, how do we identify some of the skills and provide them trainings so that they can start getting, say, 3 or 4 times the salary
So all these,
by doing something else? Yeah.
all these companies, they're all in Bangalore, right?
Bangalore, Pune, some of these cities in India.
Is Bangalore like the center for IT?
Yeah, so Bangalore is called the Silicon Valley of India.
Yeah, so in Bangalore, actually Bangalore is a very big city and like the center of ITs for India. Okay.
Yes. Then there is another company that is working in self-publishing. So new writers, they find very difficult to get a publisher to publish their books.
And IBM helps them with this?
No, so this is what I do other than IBM.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So for IBM, I normally look for technology startups in IBM's focus area. But these other things I do in my personal capacity. So I am on their advisory board in personal capacity, and I generally advise them.
A keen reader, you like to read a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how technology can help these new writers to self-publish. So it's not just publishing. I can publish, maybe I just go to a printing press and publish a book. But then how to market that book, how to sell that on online platforms, and how to make that popular. So those are some of the things that this startup is doing.
I'm sure a lot of you have very interesting questions for you because you do a variety of work, right? Okay, so Mr. Gasemsit, you want him? Okay, we can skip. Mr. Barak Sharabi, Head of Economic and Trade Mission, Embassy of Israel. Very nice to have you here.
Hi, thank you very much. Well, you know my name, Barack Obama. Very easy.
Barack.
Yeah, you can refer me as the president in this
Okay,
panel.
Mr. President.
พูดแลนด์
พูดเล่นต้องพูดไทยได้ด้วยนะ
พูดไทยเก่งมาก
พูดไทยเก่งมากชมตัวเองด้วย
No, I'm joking. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. I want to say hello to all the Thailand Startup 2016 Expo. Thank you very much for coming. I'm the head of Trade and Economic Mission in the Embassy of Israel in Thailand. Basically what we do is we support the export from Israel and investment within other countries. FDI is basically attracting FDI into Israel. Now when I arrived, I actually realized that there's no point in only supporting export if there's no ecosystem in the country to actually absorb what you bring in. So we decided to actually, first of all, focus on Thailand. So I'm here already 4 years, and in the past 4 years, what I've done was supporting the ecosystem for innovation and startups in almost any field. Israeli technology is very, very versatile. Can I do a few slides so
Yeah,
the
go
people
ahead.
will
That's why we have
maybe
the
know a
slides.
bit about Israel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
ahead.
so this is actually Tel Aviv. You would never expect this to be Tel Aviv. Just a bit about Israel. So Israel is a very young country, less than IBM, of course. Yet IBM opened its first R&D center outside of the United States in Israel. So 67 years. In 2 weeks, we will be 68. We are a very small country, 6 million something Jewish, 1.5 Muslims, and I would say the rest would be other minorities, including Christians. It's a very, very growing country. Just for example, Thailand GDP is approximately $390 billion. Israel is 305, with 8 million people. Very young country, but growing like a developing country. Last year, we grew the GDP in 2.5%. Our GDP per capita, $37,000, which is very good. It's a beautiful country. I fully recommend each and every one of you to actually come and visit. You have amazing beaches. Tel Aviv beach was number 7 in the world in 2013, so very interesting. We have deserts, we have cities, we have amazing food, we have amazing people. Everybody is so friendly, and by the way, we have 150,000 Israelis coming to Thailand every year. We love Thailand. And the last thing is Israel is restless. We have a lot of the world news. 1% of all the world news is actually coming from Israel. We wish it would be less, or at least in other directions. So just a few numbers just to understand what we do. Israel is number 1 in the world in total expenditures in R&D per GDP. We invest about 4%. Second in the world is Korea. Of course, the business as well. Israel has the highest amount, or basically availability, of VC investments in the world, with about $180 per person. It's per capita, by the way. Number 2 in the world is the United States with $80. Silicon Valley is a bit different because they have different numbers, because it's very small. Then we have, of course, share of foreign investments. Innovation capacity, Israel is number 1 in the world. Also density for startups. Tel Aviv, Israel altogether, but Tel Aviv is number 2nd in the world for ecosystem for innovation. We have a staggering amount of thousands of startups every year. You will see some more information about that afterwards. Number 1 in density for startup, as you see, and ventures per capita. Tel Aviv was number 2 in the world. I just do something very, very short. Israel, as I said, it's number 1 for scientific research, number 3 in the world for infrastructure for scientific, and number 4 for technological infrastructure. It's very important to get this number. Israel has above 1,200 new startups every year. That's an amazing number by any category. That's a startup every 8 hours. This is some of the things that most of you ever used, but you never knew came from Israel. The drones, Kinect, moving your hands in front of a TV and actually getting a reaction, that's Israel. Waze was purchased 2 years ago, $1.1 billion. We're talking about a small application, $1.1 billion, because they realized the platform capabilities of it. ICQ, anybody's using text messaging? You can say thank you. Basically, everybody here in this whole room is actually using Line. If you look at all the interesting features of Line, which is text messaging, voice over IP, voicemail, if you want to leave some voicemail, all of them came from Israel one way or another. So it's very interesting. All of you know cherry tomatoes, right? I hope you know it's coming from Israel. Before that, you ate like big tomatoes. And a lot of technology. You can see this is a very nice picture. 50% of all the irrigation in the world is Israeli. Let's go to medical. Stents. People with heart failures, they require stents. So when there's a need, when there's a necessity, we come and we try to solve it. This is a company called Mobileye. Actually, we have in the crowd the person who took them to the IPO, which is very interesting. This is a company that's basically avoiding collision, avoidance of collision for logistics. This is the last slide, I promise you guys, but this is just so you understand what's going on in Israel. We have 300 multinational corporations in Israel for R&D. I'm talking about Samsung first R&D center outside of Korea. We're talking about Apple R&D centers. All of them are going to Israel, and they're looking for something. So the question is, what are they looking for? You want to continue before I say, or? You want the answer? Okay, so they're looking for the specific Israeli culture. And the question is how this Israeli culture is coming. You know, like, where is it coming? A lot of people are asking me, why Israel has so many startups? Why is it so innovative in Israel? So the truth is that it's coming from various reasons. I would say the first one, Israel's army service, and also a problem-solving, unique culture of thinking. You know, you go into the army, you get a lot of experience. A lot of people from the army are actually creating a lot of technologies. The pill that you've seen before was actually a guided missile optics. Mm-hmm. But they found a way to take it into the civil world, made it very, very small, and today people can swallow a pill and see everything in the body, so they can actually realize what's wrong with the body. That's one of the things. Second is creativity. You know, in creativity, I believe that every person is creative in his own way. You know, like one way or another, we just need the ecosystem to actually let him nurture, you know, to let him nourish. And in my opinion, I would say there are two people that actually summarize it very good, the Israeli mentality in that. The first one is Albert Einstein, who was Jewish. Yeah, he said, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking that brought us these problems. That's one thing, you know, like you have to be creative in order to get different ideas. And the second one was actually our previous president, Shimon Peres, and he said something like that. He said, when you have two solutions for one problem, always go and look for the third one that you never even thought of. Because those two, everybody's thinking about. It's probably not going to work. Look for the one that everybody's missing. That's the one. So this is about creativity. We're always looking for something that is different, something that can actually solve the problem and not create more problems. The next one is culture. Israel is all about the culture. A lot of people asking many Jewish gurus for innovation, and it's all start with the culture. We start from day one, and we question. We don't get no for an answer. You know, I'm coming to the first grade, and first of all, I'm questioning the teacher, the first of the things that I'm doing as a child. So you are being required to actually check for yourself. No one is going to do it for you. You can have a lot of education, but at the end of the day, you are a person by yourself. Know everything. Try to know everything. Inquire. Inquisite. Then we have education. Israel is, as you've seen before, we are in the top 5, I would say, in scientific research in the world. Number 1 in the world in the tertiary education system. A lot of Israelis are going for PhDs, candidates, and further education. And I would also say patents. Israel is leading the world in the top 5 in applications of patents per capita. It's huge. After the United States, Israel is there. And this is a country of 8 million people. How do you create so much? Then we, of course, have immigration society. Israel is a bunch of people. It's not just one unique personnel that's actually in the country. We are a country of immigrants. Israel is only 67 years old. So we have people from everywhere. You can see Jewish people in Israel, blonde, tan, green eyes, brown eyes, whatever you want, a mix of everything. It's a melting pot. At the end of the day, you can find Brazilian in Israel, and you can find African in Israel. You can find Russian in Israel, and you can find Australian and American, and also Thai, by the way, mix of Thai and Israelis. I was surprised to find actually Israeli Indonesian. But you have surprises in life. So these immigrants, they came, they changed, they took a risk already, and they came to a country they never knew. The country was nothing. It was only a desert. and they came and they started building. This is exactly a startup. Israel is a startup. So at the end of the day, those people, when they finish building a country that's actually very successful right now, they started building their own lives, their own children, their own families. And that's the idea at the end of the day. And I would say the last thing, because this is the panel, it's a government support. Israel government, already from the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe the most turning point was 90s. We realized that we need to support our private sector. Government role, in my opinion, is guidance to the people. It's not controlling people, it's not doing anything else. Our goal is to come, do your best. We will support you. If it's with financing, it's with financing. If it's with guidance and mentorship, which we have, it's with guidance and mentorship. If you need to start a new small or medium enterprise and you don't know how to start, there will be a person from the government. Actually, for this matter, there was a panel before, and Kun Yusuke said that he has a problem with working with the government. So I'm not an expert for the Japanese government, yeah? But for the Israeli government, I can tell you one thing. We want to assist. That's our goal. If you don't get a reply within a reasonable time, a few days should be a reasonable time, go and ask, inquire. You should get a reply. You should get the reply and also an answer, and you should get somebody that will help you whatever it is that you want to do. The most known, maybe, project by the Israeli government support is the tech incubator. Israeli technological incubator system started in 1993. It was called Yozma. It's a program. In Hebrew, Yozma means initiative. The government decided to do initiative. They wanted to bring foreign direct investment. They didn't know how. Israel in the 90s, it was just after the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. No one wanted to invest in Israel. The FDI in Israel in 1991 was less than $200 million. Just to make your mind right, today we're standing on approximately $20 billion. Yeah, 20 years afterwards, Israel decided to give money with certain conditions to startups, to VCs, to invest, to create a new economy. In 20 years of this program, it's called the Technological Incubator Program, under the chief scientist back then, today it's called the Innovation Authority, Israel created 1,800, within these VCs, 1,800 companies. So everybody's always saying, yeah, 1,800, 1 to 10. Nothing is staying. 1,600 actually graduated from these VCs. 60% of these 1,600 actually succeeded in raising funds. 40% of all these companies still existing today. So just so you understand, these are the numbers that we're talking. It's unparalleled worldwide. Today.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. So the government support, it's also very interesting too. So thank you, Mr. Barak. Next up, we have Mr. Ghasem. You have a small presentation to give too.
Sawasdee krab. Thank you, the organizers, for having me, and certainly congratulate the Ministry of Science and all the organizers for putting this wonderful program together. It's a bit overdue, but at least we've come around. I think we have heard from many countries who have been showcasing us their successes in the startup space, and it took a long time, and it took a lot of efforts to come to this stage. And Thailand, we wouldn't want to say we are late. We are at the right juncture. At least it's important to start getting this blessing right from the top. And this event is a show, is a proof of what our government is serious about trying to put this thing on. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole Asia, in fact, is now under a new religion, so to speak. It's called entrepreneurship. I think it's quite natural for most of ASEAN. People want to start business, and we've been starting businesses for a long time, even without being called starting businesses. And now this whole context is under this new timing with the support of technology and time. It's now called startups. This has been going on for a long time in this environment. You go to the street in China, you go to the streets in India. This has been something that has been going on for a long time. We lived through it until we take it for granted. But now that we are under this new under this new timing or in this new context, what has changed? The startups or the businesses in the past merely struggles on their own. We try to do things on our own. We try and find products. We try and sell. We try to find markets, find manufacturers. The government hasn't been, directly focusing on supporting this segment of the business, but time has changed. I think this is where the difference is. But to try and become to try and launch a startups initiatives is not something that it just happened overnight. It's not something that we talked from the beginning that every country is trying to do this, because it is the sort of the key tools and engines of the real economy. But you don't just do it by just saying that you want to do a startup. If I can quote from my good friend here, Fred Mowat, who is a serial entrepreneur and accomplished many startups. He said a startup needs the right ecosystem. And his analogy was telling me when I was trying to put this note together is a clock analogy. In order for a clock to work properly, every pieces of the mechanism has to work properly and work together well. So there are a number of prerequisites before this thing would fly, would take off, and a lot of those components are just some of them are already in place, some of them are now being modernized, and that's what our government is going through the process of trying to brainstorm and hopefully come to a complete list of a laundry list of what needed to be done after this event. But you can see the intention is there. It's not the startups are, we often hear that they need they're short of fundings. They're always not enough capital, access to capital. But that's not it. The whole ecosystem that we are talking about here is the whole list of parts that has to come together. Access to capital is just one thing, but tones from the top, which is what government wants to do, and then start to spread this culture around to the different government agencies, and to try and get them to also get up to the sense and get that sense of urgency in trying to help the startups, knowing that this is really the engine of the economy going forwards. There are the regulatory changes that needs to be done. A lot of reforms on the regulatory side. Fred was telling me that you want to have a startup nations and you want to start IT. Do we have enough technical skills? Do we have enough programmers? Is the universities producing enough of this talent and the skills that we need? And if not, what do we do about it? If we want to import expats or programmers or having more Indians scientists in town, are we doing it well enough on trying to facilitate that? Is the labor law allowing that? Immigration, work permits. I mean, a lot of those lists will come to mind when you think about trying to incubate, getting outside helps to try and incubate what we are lacking. There are still a lot of other components, as especially universities should play a big part. Big corporates, you see a whole list of sponsors here. I think they all need to step up to try and pick up, if not in support, in kind, or in whatever form of assistance to help foster this whole new environment that we are moving into. As you can see, you can hear from Taiwan, our friend in the earlier panel, we hear from Israel. The government is pushing the private sector to do it, and from here, I think we're at a juncture where we are quite at a level point where the private sector wants to move this forward. The government is supporting these initiatives, and we need to come up with a list of what we need to do and do it together and do it quickly. This is I'm representing the Board of Trade, Thai Chambers, in trying to help push forward these whole startups. And we at the Thai Chambers, we have launched already many initiatives. With the universities of Thai Chambers that we have launched the innovation-driven entrepreneur programs. We have started our young entrepreneur of the Thai Chambers, which is linking. Right now, we are under 4,000 members. We are linking all the young entrepreneurs of different cities, different provinces under the chambers, the local chambers, and pull them all up into one big pool. You cannot. A lot of this young entrepreneur, new startups, they want to do things. They are under, they have very similar problems. They are under, they have problems trying to communicate with the older generations, their parents' generation, who don't give them enough credits for them to go out and try new things. So we should pull them all out together and then try and foster this new culture. Try to support them morally, and try to support them from the elder to the younger generation. Is a very Thai way of doing things, whereผู้ใหญ่ has to allow the younger generation to free and to try and do things. So there are a lot of these initiatives that are going on at the Board of Trade. The government, as you probably hear from this morning, the government savings bank is coming out with funds. We have SME banks. We have different tax incentives, and those are all coming together. But at some point, there has to be a central. And before I came in, I was talking to a gentleman from the Stock Exchange of Thailand, who has been very kind and timely to ask me to help promote the website from the stock exchange called new, new.set.or.th, which will be the central website where they links all the startups and the components of all the startup together. And this startup ecosystem slides is actually from their websites. And I think it's a website that is worth visiting. Some of these initiatives has to come on, and try and push this forward together. I also like the analogy of this modern world. It's not about the big fish anymore. It's all about the fast fish. It's the fast fish eating the small fish. It's not about the big fish anymore. So we need to do it in whatever form or whatever format that we want to do it fast, do it quickly. The other key value is important is connectivity. A lot of times, and even the government, if I can say something, is we are trying to do things in isolation. We're not trying to benchmark ourselves against, what others are doing. We want to do this, and in 3 years we'll become this. In 5 years we'll have achieved that. But in 5 years, have you realized that your other neighboring countries would have gone how far? What are they doing at the same time? And also for the entrepreneur and the startups themselves, they need to be linked it up. They cannot be doing startups for just the local market. Although Thailand is a big enough market, but it's not sufficient. You're not producing things that are going to be they're not going to be utilized worldwide. You cannot produce another eating sites. You cannot produce another movie sites. I mean, there are a lot of things that they need to know what is happening out there. So there are a lot of things that the timing is perfect. I think there are a lot of things that needs to be done, and we all need to work together. I'll stop at that.
So a lot of factors and a lot of challenges still, but very promising. First question goes to you, Dr. Kumar. Can you tell us about the recent initiatives that you or the Indian government has done to promote startups in India, please?
Yes, I have some slides on that.
Sure.
We can switch to that.
Sure, it's just right there.
I have some my presentation.
No, I think we have to wait for the, there we go. This one, right?
Okay.
Yep.
So just a snapshot. So this is just a very small snapshot of the stars of Indian startups, but that all happened without the active government support.
Okay.
And other than these, there are at least 2,000 startups in and around Bangalore.
So all of these that we saw there
So these are
supported
all
by the government.
already established. No. So this all is without government's
Oh,
active
without.
support.
Okay.
And I would say, other than all these points, the biggest advantage for India is its own market. India has a large middle class, and whatever new product or service you offer, you don't have to look out. Of course, it is good if the entire world uses it, but even if that is not the case, India itself has a big market.
Yeah, a lot of people in India.
And the last point is the confidence. I think in my generation, when I was young, a new graduate, maybe at that time there was too much fear to fail. The new generation that is now coming out of the college, they don't have that fear to fail, and I think that is making this to happen. And realizing all this, our new government, the new Prime Minister actually started this initiative called Startup India, Stand Up India. So I will quickly go through this. So there are a few points. First, why this thing is needed. We have a lot of people, a lot of young workforce that we need to provide jobs. And our government's target is that in next 15 years, we should become 10 trillion economy, $10 trillion economy. There should be 175 million new jobs, and there should be zero population below the poverty line. Now, in order to achieve all this, the government sector and the large private sector that already exists, they don't have the capacity to provide all this. And therefore, all the people that are now seeking the job actually should become the job creators, not just providing job to themselves.
So what you're saying is the startups,
the startups
will be the people
So-
creating new jobs in
yes,
India.
so
Okay.
that was the main trigger for doing this. So government has few points. One is that just make the opening, like our colleague from Japan in the previous panel discussion said, that there are lots of forms to be filled, there are lots of regulations to be filled.
Yep.
What government is doing that for startups, and they have a definition of a startup, maybe I will come to that. If
Okay.
there is a startup, then there are 6 labor laws and 3 environment laws. You don't have to show compliance, you just self-declare the compliance. You say, yes, I am complying to all these laws, and there will be no random checks unless there is a serious complaint, obviously, then the government will intervene. Otherwise, for first 3 years, government will not go there to inspect your company. Government will just believe what you say, and they will provide you a single platform through which you can, like mobile app and portal, you can declare that. Then government will also, for only startups, they will fast track the patent applications. So normally if a patent takes say 3 years to grant, government will fast track it. Government will provide rebates on the patent cost because that is a big cost. And if a startup fails, then there are liabilities. There are people that are employed in that. There are bank loans and other things maybe. So government will make it possible for early exit so that you can transfer all the assets to maybe your new company. That is one section. Another is about the funding supports. So other than the private investment that happens, Government of India is planning to create a corpus of which is equivalent to around $1.5 billion to start funding startups from the government fund itself. Other than that, the government also wants to stood guarantee for the other loans. Like if a private sector bank wants to give a loan to a company, there is a guarantee problem. Government will stand for guarantee for that. And if something happens to that, government will find a way to recover it. But to the bank, there is not much risk because government is guaranteeing it. Then there are tax exemptions for startups, and there are tax exemptions for the investors also. Not just the business, but for the investors also. That is to allow people to
Okay,
invest
I see
more.
right there, tax exemptions for 3 years.
Yeah, to start with. Then the government also want to push the industry and academia, the big industry and the universities system that we have, to start handholding and mentoring the startups. So they have a systematic plan to organize Start Feast. They have plans to launch innovation missions. They have plans to harness private sector expertise, open the incubator setups. In major institutes like IITs and NITs and IIMs, there will be new innovation centers that is mandated for them because these are all public universities. Other than that, they also want to promote few areas like biotechnology. They'll say, okay, if you do something in biotech, then you will have additional initiatives. So all this is coming from the government. And then they will also have like annual incubator grant challenges. So this is because all this is by the government, so they need to define what is a startup.
Yep.
So a simple definition actually, if it is around $4 million annual revenue or less, and if it is less than 5-year-old company, working mainly in technology-centric areas, not a very routine business. If the focus is to use technology or to create technology, then that will be called as a startup. If some company grows faster, then maybe before 5 years they start getting more revenue, then they will cease to get this status and maybe all other benefits because
So
now you have grown up.
It's a company then.
Yeah.
What happened if a company grows faster, like it grows really fast in 2 years because you said 3 years of tax exemptions?
Yeah, so if you are, then you lose that, then there are other ways like Make in India and other initiatives will kick in, but not the startup specific.
He says take the money and
Yeah,
run.
so other than that, so these were mainly technology focusing, but the government of India also realizes that it has a social responsibility toward the backwards and women.
Okay.
And they have started something called Stand Up India. Now, Stand Up India is from government directly giving loans to small entrepreneurs, not necessarily doing some real high-tech thing, but maybe just opening their own small business that already many people do. But they have the problem that maybe they are not getting the initial funds to start that. So small loans like $1,500 to up to $150K, and it will be non-farm sectors, because for farm sectors there are other schemes. And government has already set up around 1.5 billion plans to set up that for this scheme. And the estimate is that around 250,000 borrowers will borrow from this fund in first years. So small loans, but yeah, if somebody wants it, he will get it quickly from the government. Okay. So that is what this initiative is.
And everything you said here is about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's
So
speech, right, on Startup India. Everything that you said here, I mean, he just recently said it like last week or last month. When did he say this in a speech?
So this was launched recently, but in the month of January, this was rolled out properly, and it is still working. So January 26th is our Republic Day.
Okay, so everything that we see here is actually new.
It's new
in India.
new,
This
but
3-year tax exemption. You can just self-declare.
Yeah.
You can.
So we had
get
other
funds.
models for promoting other businesses, but now specifically for startup, these are the new things.
Okay, so very interesting. This is only has recently been done in January by India. So that's a lot of initiatives by the Indian government.
Yeah.
How about a question for Mr. Barak there? Because it seems like Israel, there's a lot of technologies in Israel, right? Do you see yourself more as an innovator now rather than a startup? Can you elaborate on that?
And then difficult to answer. But as I said, we create 1,200 new startups every year. We have an amazing economy, amazing solutions. Actually, just give you a number. Today, worldwide, we're supposed to have something like 120 unicorns. Unicorns, for a person who doesn't know, it's a startup. According to India, no.
Is there a reason why it's called a unicorn?
Because what you see, what is a unicorn, is something that is only in your imagination. Unicorn is a startup that has a value of above $1 billion, approximately. And so you have approximately worldwide 120-something unicorns. The United States is actually accounted for 87 of them up to last year. Just so you understand, Israel accounted for 10% of these unicorns. 8 million people out of a world of 7 billion, 10% of all the unicorns that is supposed to be so difficult to get, coming from Israel, or at least Israeli people who move to another country to create. A lot of Israelis are creating within Israel, and then they move in the headquarters to another country, and basically it allows them to expand very fast. Israel is a small market. It doesn't make sense. If I was a Thai startup, according to this, I would go to India very, very fast. I use the startup, the collaboration that I can get incentives from Thailand according to the new program, and from India by a JV with the local market. Then you can adapt the market in India. That's a big market for you already. You're above the 70 million of Thailand. Just so you understand, I believe that there's a lot of things to take from Israel, but Thailand has a different culture, different language, different history. You don't try to change those. You try to adapt. Take what's good for you. You know, Israel is a very non-risk. We don't mind risks. Let's say it like this. We are very risk avert. Israel is taking any risk. We don't mind failure. Actually, we believe that a successful startup is actually already failed before, because that's the ride. You know, in Thailand, you have the ability to have somebody else creating the technology for you. It's called NASDA, National Science and Technology Development Agency, one of the government. It's a great organization. They're doing amazing things. But if you really want to create innovation atmosphere, the innovation culture within a company, within people, you actually need to create. You need to be part of the process. You cannot just get the technology at the end of the day. It can be amazing technology, but if you're not part of the creation, you will never be able to influence on it. So these are part of the things. So I think Thailand should take some of the things from Israel, adapt it to Thailand market, to Thailand culture, make it much more profitable like that. Israelis, to tell you the truth, they don't understand Asia that much. I'm sorry I'm saying that on this stage. You know, Asia is huge. There's so much diversity, so many cultures, so many languages. You know, if they would say that they're focusing on something in Asia, they'd probably say India and China. Why? Huge market, 3 billion, 50% of the world. True. But you want to go to Asia? There's so much more than that.
Yep.
Southeast Asia is booming. Just recently, PwC got a report, 52% of the people in Thailand are buying online via social media. Different aspects, different things. In Europe and the United States, it would be unheard of that social media would lead to so much buying online. But this is just an example. So what I'm saying is, this is the direction they're going, Europe and United States. Because we feel, as Israel, it's similar values. We understand their language. We go to United States, we know what are the game's rules. Very simple. We go to Asia, nothing. When they are doing that, I'm trying to tell them, look for the right contact, the right partner in Thailand, the one that can actually understand what you're doing, adapt it to Thailand, make it better for the Thai people. They deserve that.
So adaptation, basically, and for people working in companies, ask not what the company can do for you, but ask what you can do for the company and become more innovative for the company.
Just to answer that,
Yeah.
one sentence. You know, a lot of people are talking about Asians' culture. Let me tell you something about the differences. Very, very simple. Boardroom, take a boardroom. Take one in Israel and take one in Thailand, okay? There's no chance that the assistant of the assistant in this company who's sitting in this boardroom meeting by accident because he was invited to say something, he will ever say anything while the chairman, the president is still there, not even if the EVP is there. He will never dare to say stuff unless it's a very innovative company. Yeah? In Israel, the junior staff would actually be able to say to the chairman, you know what, I think you're wrong. He better be right. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
but still, it's a different mentality. And in my opinion, that's really the culture difference. But you know what? We need to collaborate. We in Israel are always behind Thailand. I saw in the 4 years that I'm here, amazing Thai people. They dare to do. They are not afraid anymore to take risk, which is amazing. For me, this is the future. I see these people, I see what they're doing right here. I can name like 20 people on my hand, you know, like just to say these people can do whatever they want and they can create and they will focus on whatever is required for Thailand and for Southeast Asia because Thailand is the hub for Southeast Asia. And you know, anything around you is 1 hour flight.
Yeah.
So why not look at this as a market of 650 million people? Just understanding the 1st of January was the beginning of ASEAN Economic Community, which is very important. People need to see the region as it is. It's one market that you can go everywhere. People can go to India, enjoy some benefits, do something. Whatever it is, be creative. Do whatever. Don't be afraid of failing. Don't be afraid of taking risks. There will be people to support you. It will be good.
Very good stuff. Last question for Mr. Kasemsit. How do you see Thailand in its initiative in starting startups in Thailand and growing and continue on this journey to success?
Well, as I said, I think the timing is right. You
Okay.
know, we're a bit late to the game, but we are not entirely out. So I think we need to all get up. There are a lot of good qualities, as Mr. Barak here has mentioned. There are a lot of good qualities in Thailand that people want to stay here. People want to come to Thailand. And why not make that also doing business in Thailand? You know, setting up all these startups and trying to attract new talents and resources into the country, not just a vacation place, not just a holiday place. And we need to get out of our comfort zone. We cannot stay sabai. You know, we need to move forward because everyone is coming to eat our lunch. So we need to get out. We need to get out. We got to do more. If they are here already, take them in, hold their hands, and we start to collaborate.
We need to
do
fast
something.
fish.
We need to be fast fish.
Yeah.
This is the analogy of the fast fish. And the entrepreneurship is real, is here, and is an idea worth spreading.
Okay. Thank you so much. Those were our 3 panelists, Dr. Atul Kumar, Mr. Kasemsit Pathom, and Mr. Barak Sharabi. Thank you all so much. Round of applause, please. Photo. Yes. It's a tradition.
We were convinced that this is a tradition. Thailand startup.
Thank you three so much. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, Cap. Thank you. All right, next up is our